Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Tijuana to Vegas, the podcast, Portals Podcast. This is your boy Dana Dow, aka Red Ivy, aka the Double Dipper. On episode 4, we'll be going from LA to Tijuana, crossing borders. And we're going to really focus on the journey. And I want to go ahead and get you guys down to Tijuana. We're all where it all begins. Well, most of it begins from an adolescent age when you really kind of start to mold yourself in who you are. But anyway, welcome to episode 4 of Tijuana to Vegas. Thanks for tuning in. Briefly to recap, in episode 3, I shared the emotional story about me visiting my father in the hospital and how it taught me gratitude. And today I'm taking you on a road trip through my life from LA to San Diego and back to Tijuana, and it's about crossing borders, literal and metaphorical, and what these places have taught me. So this is going to be about cultural, personal experiences, and some funny stuff too. But the main topic is the journey from LA to Tijuana. So, I had said in previous podcasts, after I had learned how to walk and whatnot and saw my dad in the hospital for the first time, after that, I did not know that I was not going to see my father after that for, I think, more than a decade. And I was with my mother at the time, and my mom, like the gangster that she is, um, took me and my sister, and we went to go live at an aunt's and uncle's house, and then at some other people's houses that were friends. And as a kid, at the age of around 7, it's still kind of blurry and very confusing at that time and traumatic after being in the body cast and then seeing your dad like that and then being separated. So kind of bouncing around from spot to spot. But at the time, I was born in Harbor City, which is Northern California by San Pedro. By that time, I had came out of the Kaiser Permanente Hospital, Children's Hospital, which is in Los Angeles. We were living in that area, and I remember just bouncing around with my mom from place to place and trying to figure it out, I guess. At that time, I wasn't really having any schooling, and when I was in school, I remember we moved so much that I was never really in school for more than a semester, 2 semesters. So growing up, I never really had any friends, and it was difficult for me because I was always a new kid in every school that I went to. But um, moving on, my mom had to make a difficult decision and leave me with one of my aunts in San Diego as we were moving further south. And I was in San Diego for a while with my Aunt Rachel, and I love my Aunt Rachel. Shout out to my Aunt Rachel, she's listening. I love you. Thank you so much for teaching about art and about everything organic before it was even something trendy. My Aunt Rachel was like, she was like an old school hippie girl or like a beatnik, but she was like the one that taught me about art, how to paint, read books, and then taught me how to farm and stuff. And she had avocado trees. She had a huge backyard. We used to live in Bonita, California. Well, I lived with her for a while, and Uncle Frank. And the backyard was a double backyard. It was humongous, and she had avocado trees, orange trees, like literally a bunch of fruit, all their spices and herbs, vegetables, everything was grown there. She grew it herself, and she was the type of lady that every day she had a cookbook, and she would just flip the page, and whatever it said there is what she would cook. And sometimes, it'd be some weird stuff for me, especially, as a younger kid. It's strange that I used to hate avocado, and now it's like, damn, I have to have avocado on everything, extra avocado, right? Isn't that crazy how your palates change? I should probably try some more food. I wonder if maybe I like stuff I didn't like before. Anyway, but yeah, I remember my Aunt Rachel's house. It was really cool. It was in Bonita, California. All the houses were like ranch style, and a bunch of my neighbors, they had horses and geese and fucking a bunch of weird animals. And at the nighttime, you could hear all the animals and stuff. And I remember this girl moved in next to me. I think she must have been an Indian girl, whatever. She had this like dot on her forehead. And I remember she was a horse rider, and she taught me how to ride horses when I was young. And her dad was like, he used to train pit bulls, and he had a bunch of pit bulls locked up in cages. They were ferocious as fuck, and they were like at nighttime he would let them roam around, so to protect their property. And funny story, when I was living there, I remember she took me across the street to the neighbor's house, and the neighbor had geese, and they looked like ostriches, dude. They're huge as fuck. And I didn't know that they were so aggressive. Like, I was like coming out there cool with a piece of bread. And as soon as they saw food on me, they like ganged up on me and started attacking me. I was running from these motherfuckers. This shit was crazy, dude. They're in a full attack mode. Don't fuck with geese, bro. They're dangerous as fuck. They'll flock up on you, bro. Like birds of a feather. Real talk. But during that time, I didn't know where either of my parents were. My mother kind of dropped me off and said she'd be back. I'd get a call every now and then, maybe once a month, and it was really difficult for me. I was with an aunt and uncle that I didn't really know on behalf of my dad's side. And my dad, I guess, was in rehab. Now I know that he was in rehab, but at that time I didn't know where he was at. And I didn't know where my mom was at either. And I didn't know what was going to happen to me. So, as a 7-year-old kid going on 8, it was tough times. But I think that's what gives me the character that I am today, to be able to be resilient and reflect upon that, and to think back that that's not even the most difficult of my times. Those were easy parts of the story, but the story continues. After about living with my aunt for about 7 or 8 months, it got to the point where she couldn't support me. She didn't have children. It was just her and my uncle and her dog Laika. Laika was cool. Laika was a husky, half husky and half Siberian wolf. And she was super timid. I remember it took her like months to like warm up to me, even to say hi to me. But man, Rachel was badass. I remember she took me out of school and she took me to the whole Route 66. We did a Route 66 tour in a town car with the husky in the back. And we went to in San Francisco to the 49ers Gold Rush thing experience. And she took me down PCH1. She taught me a bunch of cool stuff. Like, I still have a painting on my wall here, and I painted it in 1990 something. But it's cool. It's flowers. But now that I'm looking at them, they're like purple flowers and all something like that. It's sort of dark. But it's cool to have. My mom's like, she's like, this is mine. I'm like, yeah, you can have it. But yeah, after my aunt decided that she wasn't really able to budget me in, 'cause she didn't have children and it wasn't really in her plans either. So the next option was for me to move down past the border into Mexico and live with my grandmother Juanita and my grandfather Rodolfo in Valles of Tijuana, where I grew up basically, from the age of 8 till I was 20 when I moved to San Diego. But when I got to Tijuana, I just kind of got dropped off, my bag of clothes or whatever. And I was a stranger in a strange land. And just imagine you're that age, you don't know where your parents are at, you're freaking out. And you've never been to this country. My grandparents didn't know, nobody in the house knew English. And I was the only one who knew Spanish, except for my sister. My sister was already at my grandma's house. I don't know how she had gotten there. I don't know what the story is. I can't wait to interview her because I'm really interested to know how it is that our paths reconnected, because we got separated at some point, and at our grandma's house is where we were able to reconnect. And I remember my sister was like, she still is, she's my everything, because she was the only one who knew how to speak English and Spanish. And I didn't know any Spanish at all. All I knew was English. And my sister, she had to go to school. She was going to college. She was doing cosmetology. She's very busy. So, and I was going to school too. So we wouldn't see each other a lot, but we would see each other at home. Whenever I'd see her, it'd just be like, oh wow, my big sister. She's like my hero. She still is. And I just reflect upon that, and it just makes me feel so humbled just to know that I have family like that, and that my family would connect all the way across borders to make sure that I have a place that I grew up safe in. And my grandma put me in a private school, in a Catholic school, in 5th grade. With nuns and shit, and it was like uniforms, and I had to cross the border every single day to go to school. Uh, from Tijuana to San Isidro, which is basically right across the border. It's the beginning of where San Diego County is, and then cross back to Tijuana every single day. And it was a 2-hour commute there and a 2-hour commute back. And I did that for many, many years in order to get my education. And I didn't see it at the time. I mean, I hated my grandma. I hated everything about what was going on in my life. I hated my circumstances. I hate not knowing where my parents were. I hate not having a normal family. I hated myself. I hated the way I looked. I hated not being able to be free. So many things that go on in a person's mind, especially when you have mental illness. And all these traumas are a result of how I am now. And again, hindsight, it's built a character to who I am. It's not a complaint. It's just simply an acknowledgement to my higher self saying, hey, I know that, but it doesn't bother me anymore because I'm in control of my emotions. If I let my past or my future or the thoughts of the future or planning or whatever cause me any type of emotion, then that means that I'm not in control of myself. My emotions are in control of me, and that's not my higher self or my higher being. That's something literally from Earth, having to do with whatever it is that the social constructs that have been built around us show and make us feel. And feelings are the easiest way to control somebody, and the easiest way for the government to control us as a nation is financially. And that's why they encourage people to go to college, but college gives you debt. So as soon as you have debt, you become enslaved to the United States of America and Uncle Sam, and you are no longer free. And you're working minimum wage jobs, which we've all done the studies, we've all done the numbers, and we know that it is impossible to live off a single income, minimum wage. I don't care if you live in the state of California or in the state of New York, on minimum wage to be able to rent something, eat, go to school, and still have money for yourself and have a normal life, it is impossible. You must have two incomes. You must have multiple streams of revenue. And that's something that I learned, and I've been a musician my whole life. My eye has always been on the prize to make music. And we all know that musicians don't get paid. We do it for the passion, and we do it for the culture, and we do it for the art, and we do it because we want to do it. Not because anybody has us to, or I mean, if they do, I will. But most of us are just expressing ourselves and trying to get paid at the same time and live a normal life at the same time. That means that we have to expand our knowledge, and we have to expand not just physical borders of Tijuana to Vegas in the United States and Mexico, but we need to expand the metaphorical boundaries of our minds and not be tied to these constructs of these comfort zones. We need to break these comfort zones and navigating the identity between cultures, not only musically but universally. Because if we're able to be artists and we're conduits of God and we're conduits of love or the universe or higher power or whatever you want to call it, I feel that maybe we're all prophets. I know we're all children of the universe and all children of God or children of the corn, or children of whatever you want to call it, children of our parents and children of our parents' parents. And we can only see up to 4 generations ahead of us. You might know your great grandparent, and your great grandparent's going to be over 100 years old. We're lucky enough, if we're lucky enough, we might get to live to be 100 years old. That's the only time that we get to be on this planet. So let's enjoy that to the maximum. Let's have maximum effort, maximum output of energy just on that love. You know what I mean? Not that hate vibration, just on that love. Love, 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 love. Because there's always going to be some hater that's going to come around and want to knock you down. And the reason for that is because they're jealous. They're jealous because you have something that they don't have. And you know what that is? It's confidence. It's knowing that you're one of the chosen ones. If you're listening to this, you are a chosen one. I am a chosen one. We are the chosen ones. We are all children of God, children of this universe, children of the higher power. If you don't believe that there's a higher power, then maybe this podcast is not for you. But I do believe, and everybody has their own religions, but religions have the basic same essential qualities and morals. It's not be a douchebag to other people. You know what I mean? And the lessons that I've learned and I take away from this journey is that every city, every border taught me something about myself. And Tijuana gave me grit, San Diego gave me balance, LA gave me ambition, and Sin City gives me spice. And I believe that that's something that's just a riot of life. And I can't wait for the podcast next week to introduce you to my sister And we're going to touch on that topic on episode 5 of what happened during that time period, and then kind of how we reconnected. And then possibly we'll be moving to video format from there. I'm not sure 100%, but we're looking into some things, and I would like to share some pages with you, not on the podcast, but I'll have it in the description on YouTube. It's for some nonprofits that my sister and I started a business. My sister has stage 4 cancer, and I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in to podcast number 4 of Tijuana to Vegas. I'd like to thank my sponsors. Again, I have no sponsors. It's sponsored by Diddy and powered by water. Hell no. Nothing that I do has anything to do with Diddy, guys. This is not sponsored by Diddy. This is completely DIY, do it yourself podcast by your boy Dana Christopher Dow, Dana Dow Jr., Rosani Red Ivy, Red Eye, Red Ivy, Chris Dow, Portals, New Cash Records. We in the house, baby. We're going to be doing this. And I'm going to be having more guests soon. And I would like to leave a couple questions for the listeners. And I'd like to ask, what's a place that shaped who you are? Let me know in the comments or in the social media because I love to hear your story. So, what's a place that shaped who you are? Not necessarily somewhere where you were born, but like maybe I grew up in my adolescent age in Playas de Tijuana, so that shaped who I was. But let me know where you're from, homies. Let me know what shaped where you are. I'm interested to know. And just a little teaser for episode 5. Next time I'll be showing a story about, well, just stay tuned. I don't want to give too much away. But yeah, this has been episode 4. So we've made it down to Tijuana to my being a stranger in a strange land, not knowing Spanish, and going to Catholic schools with nuns. So shit's getting crazy, guys. In episode 5, I will tease a little bit that my sister will be on the podcast, and we'll be talking about some stories when I was a kid. She'll be sharing some stuff that's probably pretty embarrassing about me, but I'll let it ride. It's all for the good and the fun and the humor, and it's just fun and different and something to listen to. But this is your boy Dana Dow, the Double Dipper. I want to thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode if it resonated with you guys. Once again, God bless everyone. I hope you have some happy holidays. And I'll be seeing you in the next episode. Tijuana to Vegas, out.